forgive me.
Hi, my name is Nicole Umberger, and this is the first episode of Misfit Saints podcast. And with me as my first special guest is my husband, Doug Umberger, who is with us today. He's not been really feeling well today, so I'm really grateful that he was still able to do the podcast episode with us tonight. But this podcast is basically something that I've created, and I want to start having people on here where we talk about things like a force bigger than ourselves helping us out of something that we couldn't get out of by ourselves. And so the reason I have Doug on today is so he can talk a little bit about what he's been through in his life and how he has gotten to where he is today. So go ahead and start by telling us where are you from and start from there.
I'm originally from Orange, California. Is where I was born. I grew up there in Anaheim, California. Middle class family. Just, I was an average kid. I was a happy kid. Had a happy childhood. My parents. My dad especially drank alcohol and stuff, but it wasn't a bad childhood. He did things for me. I remember special birthdays, and he tried to give me a good life. And I don't know. Things started to change, I guess, when I hit my teenage years, or preteen years, really, probably about 12. I started questioning everything, and my parents worked a lot, and it's like my mom and dad were gone all the time, so I was what they call a latchkey kid. I had a key to the front door, and that was I didn't go to a babysitter anymore. It's too expensive, and I was too old for that. So I gravitated more to my friends, and when that started to happen, I noticed that instead of, following examples of how my parents were, they worked hard, and, they provided for me, and, which is what the real world is, working hard, providing for your family, maintaining a stable home. I got more into listening to what my friends had to say, which was, hey man, let's drink, let's party, let's,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I just kind of started gravitating towards that. I started pushing my family away and started gravitating to my friends because I spent more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
My influence from them was a lot stronger than anything my family was doing. So by the time my dad starts to crack down, and he sees that I'm kind of, I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. I'm sneaking out, and I'm coming home, and I'm drunk, or I smell like marijuana, or or whatever the case may be, ditching school, you name it. He started trying to punish me and saying, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, and so by the time that started happening, I started rebelling. I'm like, what do you mean I can't go out? You're never here anyway. How are you going to stop me? It's weird how, easy it was to gravitate towards my friends and push my family away. And I still don't understand why. I really don't. Why I took their opinions and their value of me over what my parents were. It's like I took my parents for granted, I think, maybe. And
I think a lot of us do that.
yeah, it's like I knew that they were the constant, so all the new friends and all the people, I had to make them like me, or else they're gonna disappear, and I'll just be stuck with my parents.
Yeah.
And it's like their opinions of me and their ideas of me was so important to me, and I wanted people to like me. I when I turned 16, about 15, 16, that's when things really started changing for the worse. Because, I basically quit going to school, and I had to take a test to get out of school early called a California High School Proficiency. And I was going to take that, and I'd be out of school, and then I could do what I wanted. And, but doing what I wanted just led to more trouble. I started doing things that could land me in jail. I started stealing. I started, and sometimes it was just to do it. I didn't even have that bad of a drug habit to where I had to steal. My friends were still kind of more or less, my buddy Bill, his name was Nabil. He was Egyptian, but we called him Bill because it was just easier. And he had a job. He always worked. His parents owned this restaurant. It was an Egyptian restaurant. They did Egyptian food, and he always had money. So, he's just like me. He wants everyone to like him too. So he's always buying us drugs or buying us alcohol. He had a car, so kind of, and then, we just did things that were just to do them, just stupid stuff, knocking over people's mailboxes and, just dumb things,
right?
Lighting fires when getting the fire department called.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I just, and we all thought it was just innocent fun, but then as time went on, I really started not liking the attention I was drawing to myself, kind of, on a deeper level. Yeah, superficially, I thought it was cool because all my friends were like, "Oh yeah, you're like us,"
Yeah.
But on another level, it's like I don't really like all the negative attention I'm bringing because I'm feeling like this isn't going to end up well.
Right.
In my mind's telling, there's some common sense still in there somewhere, and it's telling me, look, this isn't going to end up well for you.
Right.
So I get in some trouble, and I wind up coming up with an idea to join the military. And I was 17, so I needed a waiver from my parents, and they signed it. Excuse me. I took the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. I scored 97 or whatever on it, which means I scored in the top 3 percentile, like better than anybody else except for that percentile at the time, which was like really good. And I think that's what it was anyway. It's been a long time, but my recruiter was all, "Yeah, we're gonna send you. You're gonna be an officer. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, right on." And then when it came time to actually, go, I had, I was born. My feet were kind of crooked, and I didn't have any arches. So when I was in 5th grade, they took and reconstructed my feet physically and made them straight and put the arches in them, and so that kind of affected the medical part of it. They were like, "You can't go and do boot camp with feet like that. You should try the Army or something like that." And I was kind of devastated. I'm like, "Oh wow, that stinks."
Yeah.
I'm
Bummed you out.
Yeah. And it wasn't long after that I wound up in my first real crime and wound up in jail. And it was a serious crime. It's for robbery with the use of a deadly weapon. And yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It still shows up today. Like, it's been, 35 years ago, and it still shows up. And I went to jail, went to prison, just learned how to be worse. I was a pretty decent when I was inside, I followed the rules. I didn't do. I wasn't like a real bad guy or anything. The first time I went to jail was a little rough. It was in California. I wasn't in there 2 weeks, and I went to court and got beat up, and got my tennis shoes taken from me, and so and like, it's only because my feet were so bad that that I was able to have my tennis shoes. So I'm like the only guy in the whole cell deal there that's got tennis shoes.
Yeah.
So when they try to make me go into court, I ain't got no shoes on.
Yeah.
And the cop goes, "Where's your shoes?" And I told him, "Well, I don't know."
Yeah.
So he goes back into the cell block and says, "Whoever's got this boy's tennis shoes, you better cough them up now. I'm gonna come in here and thump someone's head, cut." So they think I tell on them.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, they don't have the common sense to see, "Hey, man, you left me without a pair of shoes. Of course, we're gonna ask questions. I can't go in the courtroom barefoot."
Yeah.
So they think I tell. So they're like, "You better," it was a rough experience,
Yeah.
And then after incidents like that happening and everything else, I started toughening up, and next thing you know, I'm being a jerk. I'm scared to death, so I'm liable to stab you. I'm liable to try and beat you to death if you come into contact with me. Try or kill or be killed. I started developing that mentality, and I don't know. It just kind of set the stage for more and more failures, more and more
disappointments.
Yeah. Each time I did something I wasn't supposed to do, there's always that little voice in there that says, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I think the only people that voice doesn't exist for is like true psychotics.
Yes.
That and maybe they do, maybe they don't, but I've been told that they really don't have that concept like sociopaths and other people do, that at least hear it, but they do it anyway.
Right.
That was me. The little voice says, you shouldn't do that. It's really not the right thing to do. And it's like, yeah, but I have to because, it is what it is.
Right.
I had these fundamental beliefs about myself, that I was different, I was broken, and then I had these superficial beliefs that say I have the right to take from others, the rights of other people don't count. It's me or you, me first.
Yeah.
Always the victimizer, never the victim, and it just really changed me. It started me down a path that, after doing it for so long and going, I've been to jail. I've been to jail 5 times. I've done 3 solid prison numbers plus a few violations. First time was relatively easy. After I got out of the county jail anyway, that was rough. Lots of fights. Like I said, I got beat up, got my shoes taken. I got jumped a couple times. I went to court in San Bernardino, and it's like I'm one of 3 white kids, and they throw us in a cell block. Everyone in there's black, and in California it's real segregated.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, let's get whitey,"
Yeah. It's not like it is outside at all.
So then get beat up, and it's like, oh man. So that turns me into somebody that's like, oh, I gotta hang out with my own people. I gotta hang out with the white guys. I'm a white boy.
Yeah.
And so when I finally got out of county jail, though, I was able to go to they were real lately. They've been talking about the prison guys going and fighting the fires, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're making them slave, and it's like, I loved doing it because, number one, I got to go to a minimum security camp when we were on BLM fires and stuff, and they set up base camps. We got to eat with them. We ate really well. They fed us really well.
That's nice.
They gave us like Gatorades, and we had all kinds of cool stuff. And you don't go for the money. You go because you did wrong in society. We broke the rules.
Yeah.
We stole, we victimized people, we sold drugs to kids, whatever it is. And it's kind of our way of saying, hey, we're going to give back, and the state goes, okay, well, if you're going to give back, we're going to give back. So they give you meritorious time. And
it is voluntary.
It's voluntary.
They don't force you.
No,
to go fight the fires.
You could go sit on a level 3 yard and do nothing.
Right.
You don't have to go you don't have to go.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go there, you get extra good time, you get fed better. You're not under the gun.
Yeah.
You don't have guards walking around with guns pointed at you all day.
Yeah.
The people are better.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to go home.
Right. So everybody's behaving.
It gives you something to do. It toughens you up. You get to you have to run. I know when I was in the Nevada Division of Forestry camp, I had to run a mile I had to do a mile in 7 minutes with a 40-pound pack up my back, and it was uphill one way. So I had to go half a mile uphill, and then half a mile I was able to go downhill.
Oh, wow.
And 40-pound pack on your back, you had to do it 7 minutes. That was just to get into the NDF.
Yeah.
If you couldn't do that, you couldn't go on fire.
Wow.
And they looked past my feet because they were all corrected by that time. So I was able to go. And it's like you have a choice. I mean, you could go sit somewhere and sit behind a wall with razor wire fences and the politics and the guards, in the towers, and ain't no one talking when I'm talking, gentlemen. Or get away from the fence, gentlemen, or lock it down, guys. You don't hear none of that.
Right.
So it's it's not all negative. So all this stuff you're seeing, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
You don't go there because you're getting paid to do a job. You're in that situation because you did something wrong, and it's your way of being able to give back, and it's your way of getting a little more freedom because you do.
Yeah. It's really good to hear somebody's perspective on that.
And when I didn't get that chance again, that was the only chance I had. First time I was locked up, because after that, I had done things to where I had so many points or so much time.
You couldn't qualify.
Yeah, or I would get locked up again, but I had another case pending, or I had another violation somewhere. Like the last time, I got sentenced to quite a bit of time. I wound up doing close to like 8 years, and 7 years, something like that. But while I was in there, I had a hold from the state of Nevada the whole time because I had a probation violation. I was on probation in the state of Nevada while I was living in Colorado. And when I got in trouble, that whole time I got this detainer. So I can't go to somewhere like a fire camp. I can't go to a lower level place. I got to stay behind the wall. And it's just tough.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
You don't get as much good time. You don't get treated as well. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, many years I spent living like that. The last time my drug addiction was so bad that, I put my children in harm's way. I left drugs out. My son got a hold of it. And he had to go to the hospital. He was, imagine a almost 2-year-old kid on methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Devastated me. To watch that happen, I was like, what have I done? Wow, what kind of person am I? I just could not believe it. It was so surreal to know that. Like, I always thought that I wasn't hurting anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just a drug addict. I'm not hurting nobody. They were going to buy it from somewhere anyway. I'm not the bad guy. I didn't look at the fact that it doesn't matter. I was still giving it to people. I was still selling it to people. I was still stealing to buy it or whatever. I've been on both sides. I've been the guy that, yeah, I got the drugs and I got the money, and I've been the guy that's been like, hey man, I wish I had $1 and I wish I could get some stuff. Oh, I got to go steal or whatever. I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
And but at that moment when that happened, I just, I was to the point where I just like, I wondered why God hadn't killed me yet.
Yeah.
I was wondering why He had allowed me to go on for so long, because I was such a piece of garbage that I was like, how come I'm not dead?
Yeah.
I've done so many drugs and so many things and put in my body. How have I not stopped my heart? How have I not blown my brain out from an aneurysm or whatever? How have I made it this far?
Yeah.
When I went to jail that last time, I didn't stop. I was still trying to get it while I was inside. I was
That's fairly easy.
Yeah. It was, if you wanted to, it's just I just didn't know what a human being was. I seen other people living their lives. I seen other people smile. I've seen them have families, and I tried that. I got married. I had kids. I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and it didn't stop me. The fear of jail didn't stop me. Having children and being married and trying to care about people didn't stop me, because I didn't know how to care about anybody, because I didn't care about myself. And somewhere in there, I went from happy-go-lucky, let's party guy to a person with no self-worth and no value because of all the bad things that I've done. And I don't know where I crossed the line.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, I lost the ability to choose.
Yeah.
And I say that because I had mentally and emotionally made myself into somebody that could no longer choose their own path and their own outcome. Because if you tell yourself that you're a piece of garbage, if you tell yourself that you're worthless, if you tell yourself that I've done all these things and I'm never going to be anything else because this is just who I am, this is how it is, I'm broken, God made a mistake when He made me, you start believing all these things, you no longer have the choice of being a good person, because you can't when you're stuck in that mindset.
Right.
You are who you think you are.
Yes.
You are. As a man think he is.
Yes.
If you think you're bad, you're going to be bad.
Yes.
You cannot be a good human being when you think that you are screwed up.
Right.
You just can't.
Right.
It's not possible.
If you think you're broken, you will act that way.
You
will. You will act broken.
Yep. And so, just I finally one day, just in jail, I when I was in prison, I was in Lyman Correctional Facility in Colorado. It's a level 4 prison. It's where 80% of them aren't even going home. Most of them got life or whatever. And I just started. I was in a single cell. I was watching TV, and I just broke down, and I was like, I had like a marijuana joint about this big that was probably about the size of 3 toothpicks taped together and about that long, and it was sitting up on the shelf, and I had plans of going out to the yard, and I knew someone that had a lighter, and I was going to smoke it later. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like, man, I wish this count would get cleared so we can go to the yard. And I just started crying. I'm all, is this all my life's ever going to be? Is this all it's ever going to do? I can't even stay sober in jail, I've been here 6 years and I can't stay sober, 6 years I've been locked up and I still can't figure it out, like how to be a decent person, that to not be a liar, to not be someone that cheats and lies, And I was always pretty charismatic. I could talk my way into or out of things, and not always, but I was one of those. And I always, like, whenever I've been locked up, I've always been all right with the guards and stuff. Hey man, and kind of kept them away, and they didn't look at me like they did other guys running around with swastikas on the back of their head, and I didn't draw that kind of heat to myself, but I was still doing all the vile stuff that everyone else did, thinking that I'm a better guy than they are.
Because you're better at hiding it.
Yeah, because I'm this. I'm not acting accordingly. I'm talking accordingly.
Yeah.
And I just broke down. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to change this. I'm stuck. Am I stuck like this?
Yeah.
Why don't you help? Why don't you help me? I don't understand why you have allowed me to go on so long. I blamed everything on him. And it's like, and realistically, they're my choices, my consequence for my choices, my way of living.
Yeah.
He didn't have nothing to do with it. He gave me a body and a spirit and a life and said, here you go.
Yeah.
I'm the one that burned it up, abused it, took what I wanted, didn't care. The only time I ever cried was because someone hurt me. It wasn't because of what I did to someone else. Only time I was really remorseful is because I got sentenced to years in jail. Well, I'm remorseful now. Yeah, you just sentenced me to 20 years in jail. Yeah, I'm pretty remorseful. Yeah, I'm really sorry now. Not because I did it, it's because I got locked up for it.
Yeah.
But when that happened to my son, that's when I really cracked, because I don't know, he that changed the way I looked at it, because I
It's your child.
Yeah, and I hurt him.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's the one person you just don't want to hurt.
it's like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it shifted me into a whole new realm of not only am I a loser, but I'm a real loser,
Yeah.
And it took a while to climb back out of that. When I was incarcerated last time, I went to a inpatient treatment center inside prison, and one of those places where they say, go stand on the wall. Why? Because I told you.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you? Make me stand on the wall. I'll crack your head open. And you just. But it's a learning experience. It's one of those things where someone tells you to do something, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And it breaks you down and it makes you more. It's a behavior modification program is what it is. It's like, if you can learn to deal with some idiot telling you to stand on the wall for no reason, and you're like, okay. When you can become that kind of person, you become the kind of person that can deal with life on life's terms.
Yes.
If they make you walk around with a sign that makes you look stupid and makes you, kind of humiliates you a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really good for someone that's let their ego take over.
Yes.
And turn them into a monster. So knocking that ego out of the way and humbling somebody and being okay with it, I could be humble. Yeah, I'll walk around like that. I'll write a concept paper on that. Maybe it'll help me. I bucked for the first 6 months. I almost got kicked out. I almost got sent back to the yard. Almost lost all my good time. Yeah. Because I was just faking it. I was doing this again. Yeah. Oh, I'm a good guy. Oh, I'm and I got called out for it. I had the director of the program, this little lady, called me out. She cussed at me, told me I was, why was I talking? I was, nothing good was coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
She says, you're still a fraud.
She could see right through you.
Yeah. She says, you're still a liar. She goes, you know what I want you to do right now? She goes, I want you to shut up because I don't even want to hear you anymore. Everything you say is just bullshit. I don't want to hear you anymore. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, lady, I will smash your face in. Or, your self-talk goes rampant, because you just got
motor's going.
You just got
You're
your
triggered.
little ego beat down by a little old lady, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
And then what really was bummer, she's right, and it wasn't shortly after that I could I was like, yeah, she's right, I am, that is what I'm doing. How am I going to fix it? I don't know how to fix it. I really didn't. I don't know how to fix it. How do I fix it? And she said, you just got to listen. You got to listen. You got to listen to other people. She goes, you got to hear yourself and what others are saying. And I'm thinking, well, how am I going to do that? They don't know what I've been through. And I started finding out that everybody's the same.
Yeah. Everybody is the same.
Whether you were in there for this or that, no matter what you did, the mentality that drives it is the same. Whether you're addicted to porn, whether you're addicted to drugs, whether you're addicted to shopping, whether you're addicted to people, no matter what, the mentality is the same.
Yes.
And it all boils down to, I don't know how to think right. I don't know how to feel right.
Yeah.
And so I started listening to other people. I started giving in. They told me that you need to do this, and I didn't say why anymore. I just said, okay, you need to go do that. You need to go sit in a chair for an hour because I saw you leave. You didn't wipe your water off the sink after you brush your teeth. Okay. I'm sorry, next time I'll look at that. Instead of, what do you mean I always clean up my mouth. What are you talking about? Instead of being that guy, I just said, okay, I'll do it. You're gonna go do an 8-page concept paper on why watching your mouth is vital to your recovery. And okay, I probably do need to watch what I say. I started changing, and when I started changing the way, those little things, waking up in the morning and instead of saying, oh man, here I'm in jail still, man, being negative and starting my day off with negative thoughts. I started trying to do positive things. They gave me a list of things I had to do in the morning, and part of it was doing positive affirmations. I had to think of 10 things in the first 10 minutes I was awake that I was grateful for, or 10 things about myself that were good, in the first 10 minutes I was awake. And I started doing those instead of just blowing off the learning experience. I started doing them. I started journaling stuff down, how I felt, what I thought, my self-talks. When I get mad, I'd start writing them down on paper, regardless of what they were. Some of them, sometimes it gets pretty extreme, the things that we think in our head, like when we deal with situations with other people, I mean, they can get really, that's how our emotions get out of control. Because we give life to the words inside our head. So when we do that, the anger boils, instead of noticing self-talk for what it is and shutting it down, and being more realistic, So when, instead of getting so mad at people, I would start looking at them like, he's probably sick just like I was. The reason he's so aggressive like that is because he's probably hurting too. And starting to look at people different, starting to act different, started making the consequences of my actions different. It wasn't instead of bad things happening, good things started happening.
Yeah.
You know, and I started learning. But then I relapsed. You know, I got out, I stayed clean for a while, and got a job, everything's going great, and I relapsed. And then I'm like, really like, wow, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, I got every tool in the toolbox that I need, and yet I'm still pulling a screwdriver out when I need a hammer. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? I just don't know what happened. And I bounced back out of it, and I got better. You know, I didn't beat myself up as much. You know, I just said, you know, nothing good's gonna come out of this. You know, I need to clean myself up. Quit using it. Jeez, get up, get over it. You know, just wake up. And so I did, and then it happened again.
Yeah.
And I dusted myself off one more time. Said, man, I'm getting tired of this.
Yeah.
You know, why am I? You know, I know everything I'm supposed to do. Why do I give in?
Why do I keep putting myself through this?
Yeah. And you know, they got 12 steps in the recovery program. You know, and the first one is admitting that you have a problem, and number 2 is thinking that there's a God that can save you from it.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is turning your will and your life over to the care of that higher power.
Yeah.
God, whatever you want to say. And, you know, I had done 4 or 5, you know, done the moral inventory, asked for forgiveness, you know, continued to do inventory, and when I was wrong, admit it. You know, I was good at steps like that, you know. I had divulged everything. Yeah, I was a turd, and yeah, I got better. You know, I gave confession. I did a thorough 4-step, but that God thing, you know, that I hadn't figured that out. You know, I never had any concept of God or higher power or anything else. I just always, when they say you need a higher power, I was like, okay, the universe.
Right.
The air, whatever it is, you know. I was like, how are you going to give your life and your will over to the air, you know, or to the universe?
Because you couldn't see it. Yeah.
You just, if you can't really grasp a concept of it, you're not gonna submit to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be superficial. So I still really don't have this whole higher power thing figured out. I didn't think that God could save me.
Right.
You know, I was still relying on my own knowledge and my own you know, to save me. Hence the reason I was still failing.
Right.
And when you know, we were homeless and everything back in Arizona, you had I know you'd been talking to the missionaries and stuff, and I which is good. I mean, I had run-ins with the church when I was in prison in Nevada. You know, they'd come see me every I think it was every other week. I can't really remember, so long ago, but I think it's every other week, and it'd be three guys would come from as far away as Lovelock, and I mean, I was in Ely, Lovelock's quite a ways away, and they'd come and they'd sit with us for 2 hours on Sunday, and you know, they'd pray for us, bring us stuff, and you know, it was really good. It really good people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wasn't what I really wanted, but I saw something in them that I was envious of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I wish I had. You know, a peace, a genuine kindness. You know, that I wish I had. But it just was beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
But so when you were talking to them, I was kind of familiar with it. But
Mm-hmm.
long story short, you said that, you know, we should go to the church and see what they could do to help us. because we were homeless. We didn't have no money. We didn't have.
Yeah.
We had just paid rent in a house that we got kicked out of, because you remember my son got that restraining order and got us kicked out. And,
yes.
You didn't have to leave, but I did.
Yes, I was leaving if you were leaving, so I was gonna stay.
But it's like, and I think we had like $60 or something like that was tied up in prior authorizations or something like that, and
we could not. We had no choice except to rely on God that day. I truly believe that.
Yeah, and although I really didn't really see too much in it, I was like, okay, maybe they'll help us a little bit or something, and they did. They got us a tank of gas, and they got us a room for 2 nights until I got my check. And what was funny though is they kept checking on us.
Yes.
They kept calling us, and they kept talking to you, and I don't know. I don't remember exactly where everything shifted, but I know after I caught that DUI, and we were staying at the Studio 6,
mm-hmm.
and when I caught that DUI, I was like, I'm tired of doing this.
Yeah.
I'm really tired of going through this. I remember a few years back, I was in a hospital in Temple, Texas, because my kidneys is shut down,
mm-hmm.
because I'd overdosed on bad stuff. I don't think I did too much, but whatever it wasn't good.
Right.
Whatever it wasn't good. Had my buddy so tweaked out that he had picked his whole face apart.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was terrible stuff, and it shut my kidneys down.
Oh.
And I was hallucinating so bad and paranoid so bad that the police made me go to the hospital, and they had to knock me out with the hardcore sedative, and I didn't wake up for like 3 days. And luckily, by the time I had woke up, they said somewhere in there my kidneys had started working again.
Oh,
because
that's
what happened was I was my kidneys weren't working, so this drug is just circulating in my body, and I can't get rid of it.
Can't get it out.
Yeah, and I'm hallucinating. I'm just I can't think right, and I've lost my car. I originally called the paramedic because my heart felt like it was going to explode, and I was sweating so bad, and I was hallucinating, and I was like, gosh, so I called the paramedic. They took me to the hospital, and they said, oh, you're going to be okay. They gave me something to settle me down and let me go. Now I don't know where my car is.
Yeah.
I'm still hallucinating.
Oh, wow.
I'm in an unknown place.
Yeah.
I'd never been there before.
Yeah.
I went up there to take this guy to see his girlfriend. I'd never been there before.
Yeah.
So I don't know where my car is. And I'm trying to find it. I'm asking people to help me, and my phone goes dead, and I don't have any money.
Yeah.
Basically, now I'm just a vagabond running around, don't know where my car is. I'm hopeless. I'm hallucinating.
Yeah.
I'm thinking everybody's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Everyone I'm seeing, is rolling down the window, and they got guns, or they got masks on, and this is before COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, I'm in real bad shape.
Yeah.
And so I went to the hospital again, and I thought I started really tripping in there. I thought the guy was gonna kill me, and the doctor was gonna had this thing, a garrote, one of those wire things that gets you. Yeah. And I'm seeing all this stuff, so I leave again, and the cop stops me on the other side of the street and says, if you don't get in this car right now and let me take you back there, you're gonna die.
And you could fully understand him. It wasn't like a hallucination.
I really, for 1 second there, everything was clear. If you don't get in here, you're gonna die. I almost feel like it's an angel.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like for that specific moment, It's like, you don't get in this car and let me take you over there. You're going to die out here.
Yeah.
Your body is dying right now.
Yeah.
Your kidneys aren't working. Your muscles are deteriorating, and you're dying.
Right.
You're going to become sepsis. You're going to die. And so I went back, and they knocked me out.
Yeah.
But I recovered, and I can see little steps in places where God stepped in my life. And this last time when the church stepped in and helped us, I was grateful for it, but I really didn't. I wasn't interested in becoming a member.
Yeah.
I was happy that they helped us, and
you even
everything
said
else.
that you were like, yeah, I need your help, but I don't want to join your church.
Yeah.
Remember?
I said, I even said, I could be a good person without coming to church. I don't know. Something happened in there, and just I gave in.
Yeah.
I gave in and just said, and
there's a lot of good people there.
Yeah.
That really were praying for us. I feel.
And it's like sobriety's just happened for me.
Yeah.
Now I'm like almost 5 years.
Yes.
And I haven't used it all, and I've never had that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not without being in jail.
Yeah.
And being in a situation where I was locked up in somewhere.
Yeah,
where
and had no access or inability to use them.
Some places you could, some places you didn't.
Yeah.
And but I never had it just based on the grounds of just making the choice.
Yeah.
And it's like ever since I joined the church, it's like it's guided me.
Yeah.
I don't want to do those things anymore. It's like we can't say we love God and still go do the things that He says not to do.
Yes.
And come ask for forgiveness on Sunday. We got to actually do what He asked us to do. We got to be good people.
Yeah.
He tells us to love our neighbor. I struggle with that. I love them, but I don't like them a lot of times.
Yes. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that.
But there's still things that I struggle with, but it's amazing just how much my life has changed because, I did give my will and my life over to the care of God. It's working for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no real moment where the light just clicked on or anything else. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
After that DUI, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I said, maybe I'll go to church. We should go.
Yeah.
We did go.
I think the thought of going back to jail also just really terrified you. You'd been out for so long. 10 years?
Yeah.
At that time, I think. So you did not want to go back to that, so...
Yeah, I'd been out for... almost 10 years.
Yeah. So I felt like that was your turning point. And then just... You voluntarily went to church with me when I asked. You voluntarily, when the missionaries would come, if you were there, you would listen, and eventually you looked forward to them coming. You looked forward to Sundays.
Yeah, like I said, I just kind of it kind of just happened.
Yeah, because you let it happen.
Yeah, I had to get myself out of the way.
Yeah,
I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah.
I really am,
We get on our own way quite a bit as humans. I can agree with that. And I think that's why we often need the Spirit to guide us and lead us, so we know what way to go.
Yeah, my own best thinking gets me in trouble. I'm a pretty crafty guy. I'm pretty smart, but it's like I couldn't figure out how to stay sober.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to accept life for what it was. It's like I had to make something of myself. But didn't know how. I had to do that. I had to. I lived in a life of absolutes. And didn't let things just happen. So by doing that, I often would like work too hard doing the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and wind up in a position I was in.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you were willing to come on tonight, and give your testimony. Because I think if we have more people speaking out about what they know God did for them, I think that will help other people not be as confused about who God really is.
Well, I got convicted. I got convicted for the first time in 1990, and I was in and out of jail for what, 25 years. So, and even outside of it, was still having problems. I struggled with addiction and criminality for probably 30 years.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get it. But I let him in, and it wasn't even that hard.
Yeah.
I just had to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I just had to stop being in my own way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the hardest part, but you did it. We both did. So, well, I'm really glad that we were able to get the episode today, and hopefully we'll be able to upload it and you'll be able to watch it, and you'll be watching it now.
Yeah, and hey, I hope that whatever I've said, or maybe you guys could relate to it. Maybe you can't, but if I could reach one person by talking about my experience, then I've made an impact, And just remember that. And you guys could be the same way, There might be something that you can say that opens the door for just one person. Think about that. If you can do something for just one person, if everybody did that, think of where we would be.
So if you think somebody would get something out of this podcast, share it with them, and stay tuned, because we're going to try to upload a podcast every Saturday. I won't have a guest, or not every Saturday, but every Sunday. I won't have a guest every Sunday, but I will try to provide something on the episode. So make sure that you turn on your notifications for Spotify podcasters. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, make sure that you hit that like button and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any more episodes. See you. Bye.
Bye, guys.